Okay, so a little embarrassing, but I had a little problem with, I don't know if you'd call it lost footage or just bad footage, but the intro to all of this was all messed up. So you'll see that it's going to jump right into me talking about the features of a G1 that I purchased because I needed to have a G1 to be able to just experiment with, do videos with, etc. Because my main G1 is my backup NAS. So just to forewarn you, a little jarring, it's going to jump right in.
Front of the unit has the standard iCore i5 V Pro sticker. Um, it's got the Hewlett Packard. This is the only one that did that, the G1. And for some reason, they decided not to do it later on. Let's look on the bottom. Bottom, we've got the serial number. Got some information about the power and such. Now, what I find interesting, I started thinking about this. So this says HP EliteDesk 800 G1 DM Business PC for desktop mini business PC. Now, how did they know that this should be called the G1? I mean, yeah, I guess I don't know, maybe, I don't know if they were designing the G2 at the same time, but the fact that they had the forethought or perhaps I don't know, the hope that there would be more generations of this. I mean, when they made Toy Story, they didn't call it Toy Story 1, they just call it Toy Story. And then along came Toy Story 2, 3, 4, what are we up to? 5, 6, something like that. But the original rarely calls itself the one, and yet they did back when call it the G1, and the fact that it's actually also in the label as opposed to, well, we're just going to call that the G1. You know, we're just going to call that the original. We're going to whatever. No, it's right there in the name. So that just little food for thought. Let's see, front. Let's see, we turn that around. Okay, we've got of course, the HP EliteDesk. This is the black casing on the front instead of the later the silver. We've got two USB-A. We've got your, the audio hookups and such. Where's our power button? Power button should be, oh yeah, duh, right there. Okay, back. And I'm going to raise this. Two of the display ports, VGA, this is built in. There was no way to change this in terms of I/O cards later on. Interesting, they have an audio out. Four USB-A. We've got a 1 gigabit uh, network adapter, the normal little locky thing, power connector. Um, Pretty much, I think this is something also unique. It's, I guess, for cable management. It was a little hook that was added. Just interesting. And of course, this to unscrew. Um, just interesting. Some of the things that they tried out, things that stayed, things that didn't. This does look a lot like some of the later models, but at the same time, it's got its own uniqueness. I guess, let's see, I think that's it on the back. Um, if we open it up, inside, again, it says the G1DM. This one doesn't add the word business to it, though. Interesting. The warranty, and now we can get into the innards. We'll kind of talk about some of the stuff here, and then I'll actually take out this caddy and also remove this giant heat sink. This is where you would connect up your SSD SATA one. This is the only one of the units that actually has what I would consider a true SATA connector, like that you would see on a normal uh, desktop keyboard, not keyboard. I'm sorry, motherboard. Power underneath here. You've got a slot for M.2. And there's also a fan that's underneath this. And under here is where you'd have your CPU. Not the easiest to deal with if you're fond of maybe switching out your M.2s, because it's really made, I think, for, hey, we're going to do it at the factory and we don't want you messing with it later on. But it's doable. Um, You've got your two DIMM slots right here. It's kind of nice, pretty simple to add. You don't need to take anything out. Of course, later, most of them have it over on the side here. Let's take out the caddy and this so we can see what the motherboard looks like. One thing I should note too, this is where your Wi-Fi card would connect to. I looked at the specs and it did not come with a actually, that doesn't go this way, it goes this way. These are the three stays for the caddy. It did not come with Wi-Fi. Either, as far as the specs on this particular unit, it doesn't have the antennas either. Now, one thing when you're taking this off that you have to be aware of is that down here is the fan connector, and trying to get this out so that you don't sort of take the fan with you. So you're going to have to hold that down a bit, and then you can get the whole thing out. Interesting, this is the much more copper than you would see on the later models in terms of normally the copper would only show up on the 65 watt units. So that's your heat sink. Where your socket. Let's see if we can take this fan. Just two screws here. What's interesting is when I get these bare bones units, or maybe even just the normal ones, and I'm adding stuff to them, is you can kind of tell when it's one that really has not been touched after the factory. And I noticed when I was taking out the screws for the caddy, they were in there, pretty tight. So tighter than I normally would, put them in as I'm taking out the caddy and such. So let's see, I think. I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's right. There's actually 4. Okay. Loosen that up. And loosen this one. Let's see if that's enough. And you'll notice these also, it's a different way of doing the fan, where in the later models it just kind of, flips up. These actually have numbers on them for the screws, and it's a fairly tight. Let's see. That takes a little bit of maneuvering because I don't think this one's ever been taken out. Let's see. So I don't think this fan has ever been removed since the factory. And basically the problem is, if you can see, you've got the holes here, and they're a little inset, and they go over these pegs here. And when it's tightened down, they make a pretty strong grip, and it was so strong I could lift up this part, but and then finally I was able to loosen this one, but this back corner was really tight. So what I ended up having to do, I took my spudger here and I kind of got down on the side and was able to sort of pop the thing just ever slightly. And then, I mean, literally it popped. It has a sound to it. Then I could move it out. My other G1 must have had this removed many times because it was pretty, it came out very, very easily. So here we're looking at the unit with everything out of there. Nothing really new. Socket. Already mentioned the Wi-Fi. And oh, I know. Right here, this is where you would put your M.2. And remember too that you're going to want to make sure there's a video I have on how to patch the BIOS if you want to be able to boot from an M.2 drive. And I was able to put this is actually an Optane drive, but essentially it's it's non NVMe. It's the normal SATA. It does it will go into the slot. I'm assuming that it will work. I'd have to actually try it out. That's the problem with these, because in order to test it out, you've got so much stuff you gotta screw back in and so forth. You may want to stick with just the straight NVMe. I can tell you NVMe definitely does work. Okay, while we have this all nicely open, I'm going to go ahead and put in the processor, and probably first also clean up this heatsink with a little bit of isopropyl, and then I'll get the CPU and we'll get some thermal paste. Just want to make sure that's I'm a little concerned about this. Maybe that's normal. I got to look at the socket. I'm seeing this little thing right here. Hopefully that's not a broken pins. We'll check that out. Well, observant viewers may have noticed that when I was working on this G1, or I should say the prior G1, that there were some missing pins in the socket. And I didn't recognize it until I started, I was kind of getting everything ready. And after past experiences with getting units that had missing pins, I contacted the seller. They immediately knew the issue and they sent out a replacement. While I was waiting for that, I also noticed that I had, through an eBay listing, had ordered the 4790. I'll have to check. Forgetting now. Anyway, it was advertised as being quad core, and I looked again, and it turns out it's only dual. So went and ordered a 4590, which is a quad core, and which is also what this new unit had when it came out of the factory. Now, strangely enough, the prior G1 that I had, it came with the dual core one that I had ordered. So it was just strange how everything kind of came together. So anyway, this is the one that I'm going to go forward with. And this is the one that we're going to upgrade, put in the CPU, put in the memory, get it all set and ready to go. So I have another G1 to do for demos, etc. Okay, let's open this guy up and kind of check him out, see how it looks. pretty clean. Again, you can actually read the Hewlett Packard. My first G1, it's barely visible. This, just like the other one, does not have Wi-Fi. And looking at the specs, it didn't have that coming out of the factory either. Um, this originally did come with two 4 gig sticks. We're going to put in, I believe we'll probably put 16 gig in this one. I ordered some for that. Let's take this off and see what's underneath. Okay. I always think, well, I guess I could open these up, on my own, but it's part of sometimes the mystery of seeing what's underneath and putting it on film. So, okay, let's pop this up. All right. Um, I think I mentioned before, yeah, it's interesting that because the G1 did not have a 65-watt model, um, it it just came with this copper for its heatsink, which is kind of nice. All right, let's look at our socket before we get too excited. Let's look here. I don't know if that's gonna. That looks much better. No missing pins. Okay, that's going to work for us. Just close it slightly here for now. Let me get the CPU and we'll stick that in there. Let's see if it will show it. I think so. Okay, yes, it's a 4590T. Here's our little white white triangle, so we know where to put it. Here's also the triangle. Okay. It's got a little bit of thermal on it, but I'll wipe that up because I got to clean out the other one with some isopropyl. So let's just put this down. Again, let's make sure. Okay, it's in there quite nicely. Gotta get it past this one. There we go. Oh, I don't want to get that trapped under there. Okay, let's move this up to the side a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's I'm gonna clean up the heatsink. Okay, nice clean heatsink. And I'm debating whether I should clean up a little bit of that. Maybe I'll take care of that too. Okay, we'll apply some thermal. I think I may have to order some. Let's see. Oh, shoot. I may have just used up all my thermal. Okay. No, I don't think that. I think that's all I've got. Okay. Well, wouldn't you know it, just as I was getting ready to get this thing going, I ran out of thermal paste. So I had to order some, and those came in. So let's take this back off. Okay, this has already been cleaned. And we've got our CPU in there. That's been cleaned. Um, a couple of viewers have always told me that I neglect to clean the fans. Uh, and let me give a little bit of a. Ooh, wow! We do get some stuff coming out of there. Okay. Of course, that could also be from the mist of the blower, but either way, at least I could say I did clean it, and it does look a little cleaner. These can be a little tough to get out. The prior one, I think, I forget now. It's been a while since I've been filming the same video, but it did take a bit to take this one out of the other one. So let me go ahead and put some thermal. Oop, that's a little too much. Okay. All right, that's fine. All right, I know, a little too much. That's how I'll run out of stuff. Let me go put this back on. And I'll get my screwdriver. One thing I was curious about on my other G1, let me see if I can pull it out here. There's the fan wire right here, and for some reason it was getting caught in this guy right here, which kind of looks like that's sort of designed for, but maybe on my other one this is turned wrong. No, I can't imagine that. But anyway, this will just, it's nice because it goes right over it. It doesn't, crimp it down or anything else. So okay, I'll go ahead. One. Just tighten these a little bit. Okay. So that's in there. Let's get some RAM. Trying to expand, I don't just try different things instead of the SK Hynix or with Micron, or of course Samsung. So this is Team Group, brand new. Normally I just buy my if I get RAM, I just get it used off of eBay. But I had some Amazon credit, so I figured I'd go with that. Okay. This is good stuff to pull out of old laptops. If you ever have a laptop, last couple that I was given to e-waste, they had, one had a weird configuration. It was 2 gig and a 4 gig. And then another was just straight 8 gig. So, I mean, technically I could use it with this. I've often thought, do I want to do the 8 with the 4 to get 12? But the thing is you're only going to get the, sort of that dual channel effect with whatever they share. Meaning, if I've got a 4 gig and an 8 gig, I only get 4 gig in the dual channel, and that's right there in the maintenance manual. Just tells you right there. So, okay, let's see. Let me pop this out. Okay, we'll go ahead with our 16 gig. It is nice that they designed it so that it fits, so you don't have to take out the caddy. There are some, nice design features with the G1. The copper heatsink. I'm not so wild about the fan in here, but that's fine. And of course, in order to get a NVMe, you've got to take out the fan and then stick it underneath. But it will support a 2280 if you need to. It's got the SATA I think some of this is what I said at the beginning. Let's throw in our handy dandy Windows SATA booter. Um, yeah, I have pretty good luck with using SATA, where I can get Windows working, and then I can move it to the various computers, the G1s and G3s, etc., and they'll still work. Where if I try to do the same thing with NVMe, it gets some issues. I think it may just have to do with the fact that probably it always gives maybe this as the same address, the main SATA, where the other ones get different addresses. Um, okay, let's see. This one I know we don't have. Yeah, it's got the little release. Sometimes we have to take this out first. Okay. And let me see if I can get that on there. There we go. Okay. I know it doesn't have the nice, the what are those? The little screws that go on there. But again, I move drives around so much that after a while, you just kind of want to get them in there and be done with it. Okay, let me see if I can still connect that. Yep. Okay, we've got this. Let's put the cover back on. Get some power. And see if this guy boots and we have the right specs, etc., etc. So since we're dealing with VGA for the main guy, I picked up this little doohickey. Let's see if you can see it there. It basically converts VGA into HDMI. And then that way I can use the capture card. I'll see if this works with it. I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You do have to hook up the USB. I guess it gives a little extra juice to do the translating. So we'll see if this works. Okay, moment of truth with some power here. All right, I hear whirring. Okay, something it didn't like. That could be the boot. Oh, that's fine. It's just saying it doesn't, it says the system memory's changed. Well, that's fine. And it did show up on the VGA. So I hit F1.
Okay, it's booting up into Windows. We'll see what happens here. And we're live. We're sitting pretty here. Let's see. Let's check some specs. Task Manager. Let's see. Performance. CPU. Oop. CPU. Yep, it's the 4590T. Let's see. 16 gig of memory. Yeah, looks good. Ethernet. Oh, why does it keep doing that? That's annoying. Okay. All right. Let's see. The other thing I was curious with the CPU. Let's see. Okay, we do need to probably want to turn on virtualization. 4-core, good. All right. I think this is good. I'm going to. One thing I'd like to do is try running. I think I've got it on here. Is the HP Assistant, and I think it will allow me to upgrade the RAM. Not the RAM. The BIOS. Let's see. Yep, here it is. Support assistant. Continue as guest. Let's see. All right, there's our 800. Let's see. Curious, what does it say for the warranty? Oh, wow. So this unit is about 9 years old, roughly. Okay, let's see. Updates. Uh, I may have to go on to the HP site to get the BIOS. Okay, I'm here. Choose my operating system. We'll go Windows 10. Doesn't care. Let's see. Submit. BIOS. Let's see. Wow. Okay, go ahead. I'll download it. And let's go back and see if there's anything else there that would be of interest. Let's see, what's this other firmware? Yeah, probably this Intel Corporate Management Engine. That'd be a good one to get. A lot of these, again, are a lot easier to get installed when you're inside of Windows. The G1, you cannot upgrade the BIOS through the BIOS because I think the connectivity or something in the BIOS is so old that it won't pull it down. So I'm going to pull this one here. Okay. All right, that should be good. So let's... keep forgetting with this one. I think... Oh, okay. I think we have to go into the C drive. And I think it was the 9020. Ooh. Let's see. Oh, okay. HP Q Flash. That looks right. Okay. Let's see. Version of BIOS. It's going to go 233. The current one is 231. Sure. And obviously, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you've got, some good, dependable power. If you can plug it into your UPS, where in case there is a power outage, because you'd hate to brick it midway, we'll let this run and let it do the updating. I guess one thing I'll just interject is I am pleased with that VGA to HDMI adapter because before, if I hooked up VGA to VGA, meaning VGA port on the back of my monitor, sometimes the windows would be a little funky, like shifted or something. I don't know. Like I'd have to play with the stuff. Where this right away, it's fine. So maybe something to add to your arsenal. There's lots of different brands out there. I just I saw this one. I figured it was if it didn't work, I could always return it. It did, and it's handy because then I don't have to play around with moving stuff, and then I can actually do captures if all I have is VGA, especially some of your older units. G2, you may just have it. Oh, looks like it's rebooting to install the BIOS. I know you're just looking at black, but yeah, it didn't turn off. I don't know if it's still doing something, or maybe I'm just not getting video coming through. Um, but well, I'll give it a little longer, and if really gets bad, I could always try hooking it direct VGA to VGA, which sometimes does happen. For whatever reason, it's not always perfect. I mean, that's kind of your fallback. That's why it's always good to have when you're working these things to have a monitor with a VGA input. Well, that was really strange. I tried the VGA, that didn't work. So then I even finally I said, well, I'll just connect back up to the display port, and then I said, well, I'll hit the couple keys, and that's when you saw there. So I don't know if the blackness we were seeing was just Windows. Oh, interesting. Okay. I guess we'll try logging back in then and see what we've got. It sounds like there were updates, so there was a little conflict between a couple things there. Let's give it a try. Okay, well let's see, which would probably be the fastest. Let's go into the support assistant, and we can check to see what the BIOS version is now. Don't show me that again. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I believe it's device kit. Here we go. Oh, yep. So it did update it. So I think the only thing we wanted to also do was the Intel management stuff. Let's see. I guess we can go into downloads. Downloads. Okay, I think yeah, this guy. All right, another one, warning you not to interrupt, let it do its thing. Okay, and we're going to have to reboot. I think what I want to do is I'm going to reboot and at the same time turn on virtualization. Okay, we'll go into computer setup. Yeah, G1, you definitely have to. I always forget on this one. It's not under where you would think, advanced or something. You actually go to security and then system security, which is odd. And then that's where you can enable the virtualization. Okay, for now, we're just going to hit F10 to accept. And we'll go apply default. Oh, no. Save changes and exit. Okay, we'll check to make sure that virtualization is on. Let's see, we'll go to CPU, and right there, virtualization enabled. That way we can install Proxmox, and we can do other sorts of things. I don't know if that, I guess that most likely would have to be on for Hyper-V, but Hyper-V, a little different beast anyway, but and works nicely, but definitely for Proxmox you got to have that on. I don't know, these G1s I had just one that I sort of regulated off to just be my sort of backup NAS, and it's another video, and it just runs and runs and runs, and then more viewers were asking about the G1s. I'm like, oh, okay, we got a audience out there. I really need to have one that I can use to tinker with, and so that's why I started looking for some ones in terms of bare bones or etc. that I could throw the stuff in, especially because you can find a lot of the parts pretty inexpensively, or again, you may have stuff laying around for the DDR3 memory, and yeah, and then of course it uses the same power. It's got that copper heatsink. You still use a T processor, so it's not drawing a lot of juice. And yeah, it's nice little unit. So yeah, if you're especially if you're looking for something, um, like let's say for Proxmox and you've got a cluster and you want to have sort of like the main one that's always up and running. Maybe you could use that as the the G1. You never know. So